Good morning, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Hear It Here, only on the Bluegrass Jamboree. My name is Rita Small, and along with Tim Strong, you typically hear us every Saturday morning as we co-host Bluegrass in the Valley. But today I am excited to share not only a conversation that I had with singer and songwriter Shannon Slaughter about his latest project, Hold On to Your Heart, but also share with you several tracks from that project. And let's get the music started first for a change. And here is the title track, entitled You Better Hold On to Your Heart.
Born the son of a guitar picker, heartbreaker, soul singer, straight away from his old Carolina home. Tomorrow night it's another city, another love, and he's gonna leave her. How many hearts will he break with his song? Does the guitar rhythm move you? Does the harmony it soothe you? If the song he's singing gets to you, then you better hold on to your heart. If the way he sings chills you straight from the soul, it's so blue, and he makes you cry like I do, then you better hold on to your heart. Did he leave behind a song left in your mind? If you find yourself singing along, and if you find yourself blue, just remember I still love you as I sing the last line of this song. Does the guitar rhythm move you? Does the harmony it soothe you? If the song he's singing gets to you, then you better hold on to your heart. If the way he sings chills you straight from the soul, it's so blue, and he makes you cry like I do, then you better hold
I do want to thank you for taking the time, though, to come out and talk with us tonight. We truly appreciate it. And man, brand new CD is absolutely killer.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. If it weren't for DJs like yourself and Tim playing our records and reaching out to the fans and playing their requests, we wouldn't have a venue a lot of times to, an avenue, if you will, to put our music out there. So my hat's off to what you guys do, because you guys deliver the music.
No, we appreciate that. The new project is Hold On to Your Heart on Elite Circuit Records. It's your third solo project. And one of the things that I can't help but notice is your title track, You Better Hold On to Your Heart. I know it was recorded originally by Lou Reed, but it kind of rings true with you, some of those lyrics and things. What made you select that song to be on this project?
Well, if I go back to some seminal moments of mine as a musician, other than my childhood, which included Merle Haggard and the Osmond Brothers, and that sort of stuff, the seminal moments of me playing bluegrass really came in my late teens, early 20s. And there were 3 or 4 records that came out pretty quick right there in succession. The Lonesome River Band's Carrying the Tradition came out, I believe, in 1990. And I was 21 years old when it came out. I think Third Time Out's first record came out in 1990, and that was a pretty seminal deal for me, just because I started practicing their material and playing their material. And, Doyle Lawson's stuff was, all of his records were just amazing. But then Lou Reed's When It Rains album came out in, I believe, 1991. And that was, Tony Rice is on it, Balkum's on it. Of course, Mike Aldridge is some of the seldom seen guys, I think. John Duffy's on it. But Lou Reed really is probably one of my top 4 or 5 singers of all time in any genre. And I just love his singing. And he and I phrase a lot alike, which served me well about 30 years later. I didn't realize it at the time, or about 20 years later, I guess. Didn't realize it at the time. But, when I took the gig with Lou in 2008, it was like, just putting 2 pieces of a puzzle together. He and I sing awesome together. I almost know where he's going before he goes there, and I know he does it, and we blend well. Lou Reed makes you put it to a certain. He challenges you vocally. You got to bring it with him every night, because he's going to bring it every night. He's going to bring his A game, so you got to bring your A game. And on that record was that song. You better hold on to your heart. And I thought, man, what a great, it starts out born the son of a guitar picker, heartbreaker, soul singer. And I really, I've lived that. I didn't live in North Carolina, but only 12 years. I grew up in Florida. But, and I strayed. I left my home to chase that dream. I left, all of my family. I left everything to go follow to be a bluegrass player and to play music. And it was only after I figured out that, eating bologna and popcorn, I wanted a little more than that. I wanted steak every now and then. So that's what got me back into college. And then I chose to be a teacher, so I could play and teach, and I could have, try to do both.
Well, for our listeners that may be new to the Shannon Slaughter fan club, you actually got started in bluegrass back, as we were talking a little bit earlier. You started out with Lost and Found, and you've been part of Larry Stevenson's band. You had your own group, Savannah Road. You're part of Melanie Cannon's band, Lonesome River Band, like we just said, Lou Reed in Carolina, and you did a little bit with Alan Bybee in Grasstown. And the thread between all of your projects, be it a solo project that you're doing or Shannon Slaughter in County Clare, you're typically a mix of a bluegrass and gospel, and you throw in some of that traditional country. What were some of your big influences that got you to where you are today?
Well, I'm a Merle Haggard fan, first and foremost, and I will not, I won't deny that. I had a boy one time, I was playing in this little Rose's Canteen, this little restaurant in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where I live. And they had hired me to just do a little one-man gig. And this fella there, he was probably about a 6-pack in, I guess. And he hollered and he said, "Hey, man, do you know any Merle Haggard?" And I had only played about 3 songs. And I said, "Buddy," I said, "I can probably sing Merle Haggard songs until you can't drink any more beer."
Challenge.
And he challenged me that night, and I sang more Haggard songs than he could drink beer. So I'm just a big Haggard fan. He's a triple threat. He's a great singer. He's a great player, and he's obviously one of my favorite songwriters of all time. So I've just always had a lot of respect for him, and loved his music, and it just always really spoke to me. So we kind of, I grew up singing country. I learned how to sing harmony with the Osborne Brothers, but really the Osborne Brothers bluegrass was more, leaned country. They had a steel guitar, they used drums, they had Hal Rugg on the steel, I think, or Hal Rugg, I think, played the piano. But anyway, their music had a country vibe to it. And so, even learning how to sing harmony with them served me well later on. And I never did a country gig. I mean, I never have played. I played one time in front of I auditioned with a country band, and I couldn't stand the loudness. It hurt my ears. So I really had to play bluegrass, and that kind of became my avenue. I mean, I loved bluegrass. Don't get, it's not like I, this was my backup plan. I mean, I went for a bluegrass career early, and I just said, when I struck out on my own, I kind of said, well, I'm going to do what I like, and hopefully, other people will like it too. But you kind of got to stay true to yourself. I think all artists sort of feel that way. I mean, I like to write a lot of my stuff, but if I'm going to do a cover, we're going to do some country music too, traditional country with steel guitars and stuff. And I like that. And I always have. I mean, I've been drawn to that my whole life. So, I really have a love for both genres of music, traditional country and bluegrass.
And that kind of brings us right into one of my favorite tracks on this project. It's a tune that you and Dan Feltz co-wrote. It's entitled Damn Short List of Things.
There ain't too many things that compare to being with you. I could probably write them down with just a line or two. Mama's Sunday dinner, swapping lies with my dad, or fishing with Grandpa, the first true friend I ever had. Looking back at a glance, I wish I had the chance to see the Hag in 72. Yeah, there's a damn short list of things that's as good as loving you. There's a train that don't run through our hometown anymore. I used to love to hear that sound through our old screen door. Simple folks, simple times, real country on the radio. Skipping rocks, skipping class, so many times I still go back in my mind just to hear one more time old Possum Bend a note or two. Yeah, there's a damn short list of things that's as good as loving you. If I didn't have your love, my good old times were good, but they weren't half as fun as laughing with our kids and putting hearts back together when they cried. 'Cause the best of all my memories have you right there by my side, driving around, how I love to lay you down. Old Conway knew just what to do. Yeah, there's a damn short list of things that's as good as loving you. If I could just hear Whitley sing, no stranger to the rain, before he tore his life in two. Yeah, there's a damn short list of things that's as good as loving you.
And on your liner notes, you said that it pays tribute to some of your influences and your favorite artists. Who were you thinking about when you wrote that song?
Well, and my buddy Dale came to me with the hook line. And he just said, "Hey man," he said, "let's try to go with this hook line here." And we did. And that was just, kind of thinking about, well, there's a lot of things I love, but I love you just a little bit more, talking about his woman,
Yep.
and, but, we reference Haggard, we reference Jones, we reference Conway, and then at the very end, we reference a little Keith Whitley.
Mm-hmm.
And Keith was probably a big influence on me in the when I was actually learning how to play. I learned Merle Haggard songs when I was 2. My mom's got an old recording of me singing Daddy Frank at 3.5 years old. So I've been singing Merle Haggard songs since almost coming out of the womb, basically. And but Keith came along there in the 80s, and that was a real, him and Skaggs, really, and Randy Travis, Clint Black, all those Vince and all that bunch. They were instrumental in the 80s and 90s in bringing country kind of back to the forefront of just, that good male baritone voice, with the exception of Skaggs and Vince, but that good male country voice. So we paid homage to all 4 of those guys on there.
Well, and I mentioned that, you co-wrote that with Dale, but in addition, you've got some really strong writers on this project. You've got, Ronnie Bowman and Sean Lane, Tim Stafford, our buddy Brinkman, Wes Golding, Dale Feltz that we mentioned, Mike Ramsey, Paula Breedlove, man, she can write a song, and
Yeah,
David
buddy.
Stewart. I mean, you just kind of brought out some of the big guns on this one.
Well, I did. I respect all of those writers so much. And, one of the things that you try to do as a writer is, as you get started on one, you think, well, who can I enlist the talents of that will make this song better? When I started doing the Devil's Broom, I knew that Brink had traveled extensively and lived for a while out in Montana and that area. I did not know that he had been actually to the town of Wallace, Idaho. But when I called him and I said, "Hey man, I got this idea about the Great Fire of 1910," and he said, "Well, all right." He said, "Let me look at it," and he looked at it. He said, "Yes, I want to write this." He said, "I've been right there." He said, "I can tell you all about it." And I said, "Well, awesome." So I knew that he'd be that guy, to help bring that song to life. Stafford, who is, again, I mean, he's ridiculously amazing and humble at the same time. But I had an idea about the second song on the CD is called "Stack Them Bodies High,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's about the trench warfare in Europe during World War I, where the guys had to stack the bodies on top of the trenches because they were also stacking the bodies in the trenches so they wouldn't get trench foot. And so they were stacking the bodies outside the trenches to protect themselves from German sniper fire. And I said, man, that's the story that's got to be told. And I knew that had to be told 25 years ago. But I only got around to writing it, in the last couple of years. And when I did, I know, again, Tim, his background in college is European history. So I just knew he would have a great handle on World War I. And, of course, when I enlisted him, when I called him, he said, "Yeah, man." He said, "Let's do it." And, of course, I mean, it turned out it's one of my favorite cuts on the record.
Left our home and families to travel overseas, to get to the fighting front. We got down on our knees, praying to our God while a distant battle raged. We prove our valor on the field in the great war being waged. For home and country, mom and dad, sweethearts far away. We put our lives out on the line for freedom every day. When silence fell upon the guns, the river it lay still. The enemy around us gave up against their will. Stack them bodies high, boys, stack the bodies high. Leave more room for the living, for we're all about to die. Crouching down, blood-soaked ground in a cold trench where I lie. When the whistle blows, God only knows, so stack them bodies high. All that's left are memories, for few are left to tell. The trenches of the Great War were a soldier's private hell. And though it's burned into my brain for all eternity, no way to fight that dreadful sight, and every night I see. Stack them bodies high, boys, stack the bodies high. Leave more room for the living, for we're all about to die. Crouching down, blood-soaked ground in a cold trench where I lie. When the whistle blows, God only knows, so stack them bodies high.
One of my favorite songs that you've got on this one is called The Hole. And
Yeah.
I absolutely love this song.
Well, thank you. I've had several people say that, you know. John Lawless, Bluegrass Today, I sent him the project. He said, "What do you think, man?" He said, "Well, I love that the whole song." He said, "I'm a Civil War guy." And he said, "I love that story." And it is. It's a ghost story. I've never written a ghost story. But in this case, you know, it was this story about this fella that was a preacher, and he went off to the war, and then, you know, comes back to check on his wife and the home guard. And that was the local Confederates that were, you know, kind of the vigilante law enforcement while the real law enforcement was away. And you know, you know, because of it being a confederacy, which means it didn't have a strong law enforcement to begin with. But the home guard caught him, you know, he was a deserter. He came back to check on his wife, and she died, and they hung him, and he was so tall that the limb was so short that they had to dig a hole underneath his feet to actually make him die. And then, you know, legend has it that every time that hole is you know, every time somebody comes and covers that hole up, it gets dug again. You know, I don't know about all that stuff. I've never even been down to where that actually took place.
Yeah, but it makes for a great
cool
song.
Out on the preaching circuit, down south of a little town, he rode with the lightning and brought the thunder down. Believers all adored him and followed long to hear that God was forgiven and the Son's return was near. He rode off into battle to fight the Union blue, never once believing in what he was going to do. He got word that his darling was sick working all alone. So he left the rebel army and walked all the way back home. They all say he swings there today. He haunts his killer still. The limbs hung down, his feet dragged the ground. So they dug a hole to break his will to live, the hole that won't stay filled. The traitor must be called. Deserted his young country while the war was being fought. They found him in a holler, broke down in so much pain, bearing the sorrow for his loss and heaven's gain. His pledge was to his God. His wife had been forsaken, her death had been his fault. He stood there all alone, nearing death and staring down, praying for redemption, damning men and cursing ground. They all say he swings there today. He haunts his killer still. Limbs hung down, his feet jacked the ground. So they dug a hole to break his will to live, the hole that won't stay filled. In death his soul was girded by the Lord and freed from guilt. That hole in his lonely heart forever finally filled.
If listeners want to find out more about Shannon Slaughter and your upcoming schedule, where can they go to find out?
www.shannonslaughter.com, and then of course, to buy our music everywhere that carries their favorite, whatever their favorite streaming service is, or iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon.
Well, we want to thank you, though, Shannon, for taking the time tonight to speak with us. The project is Hold On to Your Heart. You can find it on Elite Circuit Records, and man, is it great. We cannot, tell the listeners enough to go out, get a copy, request it from your favorite broadcaster here at the Bluegrass Jamboree. And one thing that we have to tell you, we tell all of our guests this, and we truly mean it. Our airwaves are your airwaves, and if you've ever got something you want to talk to, you've got something new coming out, or just something exciting you want to share with listeners, feel free to give us a call and let us know about it.
Well, I tell you what, thank you, and man, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you guys having me, and your area up there is just, you got some of the greatest bluegrass fans in the whole world right there at your doorsteps. I know from having played, numerous times around Cincinnati and Ohio and Kentucky. I mean, you just great fans. And we thank you, and I love you guys. I love what you guys do, and I love your show. I love, and I love all the Bluegrass Jamboree. I mean, it's just a great thing, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on, and I appreciate all the plays that you guys, all the spins that we get from you guys. I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I do.
Again, a huge thank you to Shannon for taking the time to speak with us about his latest project, Hold On to Your Heart. We're going to get out of here with one more tune from the project. This one is the first instrumental Shannon has written, and it's entitled Blitchville. But before we go, as we always ask of our listeners, make sure you tell your friends and neighbors and even total strangers all about the Bluegrass Jamboree, where you can find bluegrass gospel, and traditional country 24/7. Until next time, my name is Rita Small, and thank you for tuning in to Hear It Here, only on the Bluegrass Jamboree.